The veil between worlds grows thin. Can you feel it? That subtle shift in the air, that quickening in your chest, that sense that everything is about to change. There are moments in human history when the cosmic wheels turn with such force that even those who sleep can feel the tremors. We stand now at the threshold of such a moment. The first 3 days of February 27-26 mark a convergence that occurs once in multiple lifetimes. A window when the spiritual realm presses so close to our physical reality that the barriers between them become gossamer thin, nearly transparent. You didn't arrive at these words by accident. Nothing in your life has been accidental, though you may have believed it so. Every wrong turn that felt like failure, every moment of inexplicable synchronicity, every time you've awakened at 3:33 or 4:44 in the morning with your heart racing for no reason you could name, all of it has been preparation. All of it has been leading you here, to this precise moment, to this exact threshold. The ancient seers spoke of times when heaven would bend low enough to kiss the earth, when the songs of angels would become audible to those with ears to hear, when the plans written in the cosmic book before the foundation of the world would suddenly accelerate, shifting from the realm of destiny into the realm of manifestation. We have entered such a time. But let me speak plainly, because what I'm about to share cannot be wrapped in comfortable metaphors or diluted with pleasantries. A massive spiritual recalibration is underway. The frequency of the planet itself is shifting, and those who are sensitive, those who have always felt slightly out of step with the world, who have carried unexplained burdens, who have sensed they were being prepared for something they couldn't quite name, are about to understand why. For years, perhaps your entire life, you've felt it. That gnawing sense that you were meant for more. That persistent whisper that your existence carries weight beyond the ordinary rhythms of work, sleep, and survival. You've tried to silence it, haven't you? You've attempted to squeeze yourself into conventional molds, to make yourself smaller, to convince yourself that the stirring in your soul was mere fantasy or ego or delusion. It was none of those things. It was memory, soul memory, the part of you that existed before you took your first breath in this realm, remembering the covenant you made before descending into flesh and time. The February convergence is not random. Throughout recorded history, and in the hidden texts that most will never see, this particular alignment has been marked, circled, prophesied. Ancient mystics in traditions separated by oceans and centuries all pointed to this season. They used different languages, different symbols, different cosmologies. But the message was the same. A time would come when the chosen ones, and make no mistake, that is what you are if these words are resonating in the deepest part of your being, would be activated. Activation. What does that mean? It means that spiritual gifts that have lain dormant will suddenly ignite. It means that divine assignments that have been held in escrow will be released. It means that the fog of confusion that has clouded your purpose will begin to lift, not gradually, but dramatically, like a curtain being torn in two. During these 3 days, the spiritual atmosphere will be charged with a potency that defies natural explanation. Prayer uttered in this window will carry unusual weight. Declarations spoken with authority will set things in motion in the unseen realm that will soon manifest in the visible. Dreams will become vivid, prophetic, impossible to dismiss. Some of you will receive downloads of information, strategies, creative ideas, solutions to problems that have plagued you for years. That will come not from your own intellect, but from a higher source. This is not about religion, though religious people may experience it. This is not about a particular tradition, though every authentic tradition has pointed toward moments like this. This is about the underlying spiritual reality that predates and transcends all human systems. This is about the war between light and darkness that has been waged since before humans walked the earth, and your role in that cosmic conflict. You are reading these words because you are a player in this drama, whether you've accepted it or not. The enemy, and yes, there is an enemy, a force that seeks to keep humanity asleep, divided, powerless, and ignorant, is terrified of what happens when you wake up fully. When you step into the fullness of who you were created to be. When you stop playing small and start operating in the authority that is your birthright. These 3 days represent a window. Windows open and windows close. The spiritually lazy, the perpetually distracted, the willfully blind will miss it entirely. They will pass through February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd utterly unaware that anything significant occurred. They will continue in their slumber. But you have been given eyes to see and ears to hear. The question is, what will you do with what you know? There are signs already manifesting that those who are watching have begun to notice. The sudden intensification of spiritual warfare in the lives of those who carry divine assignments. The enemy always attacks hardest just before breakthrough. If your life has felt under unusual assault recently, relationships fracturing, finances under pressure, health issues emerging seemingly from nowhere, mental and emotional heaviness that has no natural explanation, understand what you're looking at. You're looking at a desperate attempt to take you out before you step into what's coming. The darkness knows what many of the children of light have forgotten, that you are dangerous. Not in a way that harms, but in a way that liberates. Your full activation represents a threat to every system built on lies, manipulation, and control. When you operate in your true spiritual authority, strongholds crumble. Captives are set free. The impossible becomes inevitable. So what is required of you in these 3 days? First, awareness. You must approach February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd with intentionality, not passivity. These are not ordinary days to be squandered on entertainment and distraction. Second, positioning. Your physical location matters less than your spiritual posture. Whether you're alone in your room or gathered with others who understand, create sacred space. Fast if you're able. Silence the noise. Turn off the devices that keep you tethered to the frequency of the world and tune yourself to heaven's frequency. Third, and perhaps most crucial, expect. The greatest barrier to experiencing the supernatural is the cynicism that masquerades as wisdom, the skepticism that protects you from disappointment, but also locks you out of wonder. Childlike faith, not childish, but childlike, is the key that unlocks the door to realms that the sophisticated and self-sufficient will never access. You will need to make declarations during this window. Speak out loud. Your voice carries creative power. The same power that spoke worlds into existence flows through you when you speak in alignment with divine truth. Declare breakthrough over the areas that have been stuck. Declare healing over bodies and minds and relationships. Declare the manifestation of purpose and provision and divine connections. The spiritual realm responds to the authoritative voice of those who know who they are. But I must warn you, with great activation comes great opposition. The moment you begin to step into higher levels of spiritual authority and operation, you will be tested. Old temptations may resurface with renewed intensity. People from your past may suddenly reappear, attempting to pull you back into old patterns and old versions of yourself. You may experience fear unlike anything you've known, because your soul recognizes that you're approaching a point of no return. Once you step through this threshold, you cannot go back to who you were. The cocoon, once shed, cannot be re-entered. This is why so many chosen ones abort their destiny at the moment of emergence. The familiar, no matter how painful, feels safer than the unknown. The small life, no matter how unfulfilling, demands less courage than the large life you were designed for. But you have not come this far to turn back now. Every trial, every betrayal, every dark night of the soul has been developing in you the strength required for what's ahead. The prophets of old spoke of a generation that would arise in the darkest hour, carrying light so brilliant that it would expose every hidden thing. A generation that would operate in power that previous generations only glimpsed. A generation that would see the dead raised, the blind given sight, the captive set free, and entire systems of oppression dismantled through spiritual authority manifesting in natural reality. You are that generation. This is that hour. February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2026. Mark it. Guard it. Steward it. What happens in those 3 days will set the trajectory for the remainder of this year, and possibly the remainder of your life. The ancients understood something that modern civilization has forgotten in its obsession with the material and measurable. Time is not uniform. Not all hours carry equal weight. Not all days open the same doors. There are thin places in geography where heaven and earth seem to touch. And there are thin moments in the calendar when the eternal breaks into the temporal with unusual force. What makes these particular days, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, so significant? The answer lies in patterns that most will never perceive, because they require eyes that see beyond the surface of things. In the sacred calendars that predate our modern systems, in the celestial movements that ancient priests tracked with precision that still astounds contemporary astronomers, in the numerical codes embedded in creation itself, this window has been marked. Some will dismiss this as superstition or mysticism, the same way darkness always mocks what it cannot comprehend. Let them. Their skepticism changes nothing about the reality of what's unfolding. The spiritual realm operates according to its own laws, indifferent to whether humanity acknowledges them. Gravity existed before Newton named it. Spiritual principles operate whether you believe in them or not. But for those with discernment, the signs are everywhere. Have you noticed the acceleration? How time itself seems to be moving faster. How weeks blur into months. How you can barely remember what happened yesterday because the pace of change has become so intense. This is not imagination. This is not merely the perception of aging. Something fundamental has shifted in the spiritual atmosphere of the planet. The acceleration is intentional. It's preparation. Like a woman's labor pains that increase in frequency and intensity as birth approaches, the acceleration signals that something is about to emerge. The old order is giving way to the new. Systems that have stood for centuries are crumbling in months. Institutions that seem permanent are revealing themselves to be hollow. This is not chaos. This is divine demolition, clearing ground for what must be built. And you, whether you've understood it or not, have been in training for this moment. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every closed door positioned you for the right door. Every season of isolation was actually initiation, separating you from the masses so you could be prepared for an assignment that requires someone who cannot be swayed by popular opinion or seduced by crowd approval. The chosen ones have always been marked by one characteristic: they don't quite fit. Not in their families of origin, not in conventional religious structures, not in corporate hierarchies, not in social circles that satisfy others. You've probably apologized for this your entire life, trying to sand down your edges, attempting to be more palatable, more normal, more acceptable. What you didn't realize is that the very thing that made you feel defective was actually the signature of your calling. During this February convergence, many of you will experience what can only be described as a divine confrontation. God, the universe, source, the divine, whatever language makes this real for you, will speak with unusual clarity, not in vague feelings or wishful thinking, but in ways that are unmistakable, undeniable, impossible to rationalize away. Some will receive it in dreams so vivid they feel more real than waking life. Others will experience it in moments of supernatural knowing, where information you couldn't possibly have access to through natural means simply downloads into your consciousness. Still others will encounter it through divine appointments, seemingly random meetings with people who speak words they couldn't have known you needed to hear, who appear at precisely the moment you're at a crossroads, who serve as messengers whether they realize it or not. Pay attention. The signs will be specific to you, coded in the language your soul speaks, designed to bypass your intellect and strike directly at your spirit. But here is what you must understand about windows of spiritual opportunity. They require response. Heaven initiates, but you must cooperate. The door opens, but you must walk through it. The invitation is extended, but you must RSVP with your yes. Too many people spend their lives waiting for God to force them into their destiny, not understanding that the divine respects human will to such a degree that it will allow you to refuse your own greatness. This is why so few actually step into their full calling. It would require them to leave behind the false security of the familiar. It would demand that they disappoint people who have grown comfortable with their small version. It would mean accepting responsibility that feels too heavy, too large, too risky. So they hesitate, they negotiate, they ask for more signs when they've already been given sufficient evidence. They wait for perfect clarity, when faith by definition requires moving before everything is resolved. The enemy's greatest weapon is not temptation to obvious evil. Most chosen ones have enough moral foundation to resist that. The enemy's greatest weapon is delay. Procrastination dressed up as prudence. Hesitation masquerading as humility. Not yet. Repeated so many times that not yet becomes never. How many destinies have died not in dramatic rebellion, but in perpetual postponement? These 3 days will present you with choices. They will not all be obvious. Some will appear small, inconsequential, hardly worth noticing. But in the spiritual realm, small acts of obedience in moments of divine timing create massive shifts. When heaven highlights something, a person to contact, a place to go, a word to speak, a habit to break, a relationship to end, a risk to take, the magnitude of the moment is not determined by how it appears naturally, but by what it sets in motion supernaturally. You will know what's required of you. The problem is never truly not knowing. The problem is knowing and questioning whether you heard correctly, because what you're being asked to do seems illogical or uncomfortable or potentially costly. This is where trust must supersede understanding. This is where you must choose to believe that the voice calling you forward knows things you cannot yet see. There will be opposition to your obedience. Expect it. When you move toward your destiny, hell moves to block you. Fear will spike. Doubt will intensify. Circumstances may temporarily worsen. This is not evidence that you're on the wrong path. It's confirmation you're on the right one. Warfare always intensifies at the threshold of breakthrough. Stand firm. The convergence is coming. Your preparation is complete. What's required now is courage to cross over from who you've been into who you're becoming. These 3 days are your burning bush moment, your Red Sea crossing, your Jordan River. Will you step in?